Good morning, everybody. This is psychotherapist Tam, and as we are currently in autumn, fall, spooky season, moving into holiday season, as most of us would call it, I thought it would be a good idea to do a writing activity as it relates to maybe some low moods that some people experience during this time, and especially during holiday season. As some say, oh, it's about family and getting together and connecting and bonding. But for a lot of people, that's not the case. That's not true all the time. And sometimes it becomes maddening, a sad time, a time of despair, depression, even loneliness and boredom. I mean, even suicide rates, unfortunately, go up during so-called holiday season, right? When it's supposed to be about family and togetherness, being around the people that we love, the beloved, right? So anyways, today I thought it'd be a great idea to look at sadness versus depression, because I think sometimes people use the words interchangeably and they are not the same. So let me start with writing sad. And it's not versus depression, but still, just for the sake of this activity, to differentiate depressed or depression. Because, some people say, oh, I just feel so depressed today. And maybe they actually genuinely mean that, but that's typically not the case. They may feel guilty, withdrawn, overwhelmed, isolated, apathetic even. So let's look at that. The way I like to differentiate first and foremost is sad. We're talking about an emotion, okay? So let's say a pet passed away. I feel sad. I didn't get the job that I wanted. I feel sad. And it's an experience that someone is able to work through, okay? So first of all, we're talking about emotion, feeling, and it may involve some experiences of grief, but I'm going to call it a low mood because it's a low vibration mood. Like, even if you could physically see what sadness looked like wavelength wise, it's lower. The wavelengths are not going higher above the line, if people remember that, and probably in class. So it's not going high like this, as if it were like happiness or joy, but it's gonna be like something along those lines. But anyway, not exactly perfect. If you want to, feel free to Google it, and there are some visualizations of what mood frequencies look like, and you'll understand more what I'm talking about. But anyway, so sadness is a temporary emotional state. Temporary. So that may be a mood that you are experiencing. Something made you feel sad, an event happened, or maybe you just wake up feeling sad and you're not exactly sure why, but it may not last the entire day. It may not last the entire week. So typically, it is brief, and you're able to process it in a way that you can make sense of why you feel sad. Why I didn't get the job I wanted. Or I didn't get the grade I was expecting on my midterms. I didn't get the promotion I was expecting, or my paycheck came up short, which sometimes you could argue that the sadness is also related to anger. Like, I'm sure you probably remember from the anger iceberg we did a while back. I think I included sadness as one of those primary emotions that lead to the experience of anger. Okay, so now let's look at depressed, or depression for that matter. Depression may have some sad elements in the emotional aspect of it, or that facet, but depression is not just an emotional experience, okay? With depression, you may feel the low mood, And I say low mood because we're not just talking sadness. We're talking about being agitated, perhaps, irritable, easily frustrated, and similar. Or I'll go as far and say that there's a feeling of despair, but you don't know why. I don't know why. You can't pinpoint something specific. Or maybe you can. Maybe it's I'm still processing that grief of, my favorite grandmother passed away, or my dad passed away, or my mother passed away unexpectedly or expectedly. And I'm still processing that. But that I would consider along the lines of grief. Now, how we differentiate that from depression is for how long it goes on. Like if you feel that experience of grief in a depressed way that lasts 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, now we're at 2 years and we're still not quite functional after that passing. Now we're looking at depression, if that makes sense. So it's the frequency, duration is what we're looking at. So more about depression. There's also low energy. Okay. You may not have the energy to attend to hygiene. You may not have that energy to brush your teeth. You may not have that energy to do the things that you typically enjoy. So we have lack of interest. There's a lack of pleasure in things that you typically would enjoy. There's low motivation. So let's say I really wanted to go to that Motor City Comic Con, but I'm not even in the mood for it. And let's say you hadn't missed it in 5 years, but all of a sudden you're not interested. You don't even go to the local Comic Cons. You haven't even read any comic books. And that used to be your primary hobby and interest. Low motivation, lack of pleasure, lack of interest. And some people may experience some sexual dysfunction as well, which can manifest as lack of pleasure, or the low libido is what I'm going to describe it as. So even if there's not dysfunction happening, maybe there's just no interest, and maybe you're somebody that sexual activity has been important to you and physical intimacy has been important to you to at least engage in 2 or 3 times a week. Now you're not interested, and you even forgot that was something you were actively pursuing previously, especially if you have a partner. Okay, so we have low energy, lack of interest, lack of pleasure, lack of motivation. Also, we have appetite changes. So this may be increased. You're eating more than you typically would, and you know that the scale is indicating that you are eating more than you typically would. Now, I'm not talking about 2 or 3 pound fluctuations that may be related to water weight or or in women's case, related to your menstrual cycle. I'm talking about significant changes, which I would say 10 pounds or more. And that's not related to hormonal shifts of any kind. Also, there's the chance of appetite decrease as well. There's a lack of interest and pleasure in the eating process. Like, I know I should eat breakfast. I know I should eat lunch. Not really feeling it. But, I'm going to eat this boiled egg because I know I'm supposed to eat. But I'm not enjoying the experience of eating. I have no appetite whatsoever. So those are just some examples. Everyone's manifestation is not exactly the same. But again, this is what falls in the line of depressed or depression. Okay. And next, there may be not just appetite changes and sexual dysfunction, but now we have sleep changes that are happening. Perhaps you're sleeping way more or you're sleeping way less. Or there may be the fluctuations of having both of those, or maybe difficulty falling asleep, but you sleep fine once you get there. Or there may be the waking up in the middle of the night and then not being able to get back to sleep. So then that manifests as interruptions. Or there may be constant bad dreams that you're having that makes it uncomfortable or scary even to go back to sleep. So what we have here are symptoms of depression. And so when someone says, I feel depressed, this is what clinically what we're thinking about, okay? Sadness is more as that brief emotional experience that can be processed, and you can figure out exactly why you're feeling that sadness and why the mood is low in that way. And also, I want you to keep in mind that sometimes this sadness can be so frequent and intense that it turns into the state of depression. Okay. So for those of you that may be experiencing depression, please know it is totally okay to seek help. It is totally okay to seek out a clinician, a therapist, a social worker, a psychiatrist. And if you just want to start with reaching out to a friend or your human resource department, that is totally okay. All right. I want to do my best to support and let you know that I am one that is working towards eliminating mental health stigma the best I can in my own way. And I want you to help me in doing that too. So if someone needs help, it's totally okay to reach out. And you don't have to tell everybody in your family your business or people at work your business, but it can be done privately and confidentially. Now, if for those of us that are experiencing sadness, we can take to some journaling, right? Because ultimately we want to pinpoint why we're sad, what other emotions may be happening that contributes to sadness. Maybe it's agitation, maybe it's lonely, maybe it's boredom. So that is an exploration. So perhaps next time what I'll do is or not journaling first, but maybe an iceberg that's a sadness iceberg. And then perhaps you can pinpoint some things within the last few weeks or months that may be contributing to that experience. Now, for some of us, it may be outright related to the weather, because now we have shorter days. And if you are in an area like me in the Midwest, it's much cooler now. And there's a lot of dew on the grass, and sometimes there's frost in the morning. So we have shorter days, less sunlight, which vitamin D, that's going down. So if that's a supplement that you and your physician can discuss and see if that's safe for you and what dosage, that's another idea. And we're just less active in general. We're more in the house because we're trying to be cozy and we're trying to be warm, and the days are shorter. So why do I want to be outside? So we have a lack of exercise naturally because now it's autumn, but hey, get some exercise, do some physical activity, and make sure we have balanced meals. Now, I'm probably stating some very obvious things, though, that any doctor would say, but they'll be talking about your physical health. I'm all for good physical health, okay, and wellness. But I am telling you these things in the name of your mental health. This is what we want to do. So exercise, balanced meals. If you're someone that is financially able to invest in acupuncture, Reiki, or any other kind of energetic healing, Tai Chi, meditation, yoga, Pilates, whatever routine is going to make you more accountable and you're going to show up. And of course, I'm an advocate for journaling. So please, by all means, even if you're just doing bullet journaling or you just simply log down the mood that you're having that morning, that afternoon, that evening, fine. There's apps even for that. But self-awareness is the focus and the point. So sadness is something that we can process our way through. Okay, whether that's through journaling or conversations with others. Okay, depression, however, you're not going to have 2 conversations with your friend at coffee and process your way through this. I would absolutely recommend a mental health professional if this is your experience and you may be calling it sadness, but you're actually depressed. Now, that reminds me of a time where I was trying to confront someone that I know, an associate, because I saw symptoms of depression. And of course, I'm concerned. I called out the depression, and this person told me, well, I'm not sad. Well, Did I say anything about sadness over here? Now, sometimes that is a sadness is a manifestation, but that doesn't mean, oh, I'm depressed, I'm sad. They're not synonymous at all. Notice how I said low mood. Yes, sad might be one manifestation of that, but there's agitated, irritable, easily frustrated, and more, lonely, bored. But then notice all these other things. So when I told that person you seem depressed and I think you should talk to someone, a professional, I meant all of these things. So if you ever meet with me in therapy and I say that you're depressed, I don't mean, oh, you sound sad. Okay, that's maybe something you feel because you didn't get the job that you wanted. But this is chronic. This is every day or most days of the week, most days of the months. And in some people's cases, it's been half their lives, most of their lives. It's been more than 6 months, that's for sure. Okay. So I hope that was helpful. I was hoping to give some education during this time where people do experience a lot of low mood and differentiating sadness from depression. So stick with me. I do these videos as I get inspired to do it based upon what's going on with my clients and what's going on seasonally, and what's going on with even myself at times. So I don't have a plan for the next one, but hey, perhaps we'll be journaling about sadness or looking at an iceberg about sadness next time. So from now on, there will be more postings. I'll try to be a little bit more frequent, but my goodness, life has been lifing. So, but again, I'll post when I can. And there are also more videos about affirmations and journaling if you want to check those out. So for now, I hope this was helpful and I will catch you next time. Thank you. Love and light.